My name is Nathaniel Seymour, and I'm an animation convention graduate back in 2009. And this tutorial is, let me just bring up the title real quick, Animating, Breaking Down Secondary Motion in Animation. And what that is basically just what it sounds like. Like if someone turns their head really quickly and has long hair, then by the time the head is done turning, the hair is still moving. So that sort of thing. And that's actually one of the specific things we'll be doing, along with a couple others. So just to show you a little bit about me, in case you haven't seen any of my other tutorials, this is what I've been doing, and basically 3D animation as well as visualization. And this is most of what I've worked on, and as I mentioned before, at least 90% of what I know about animation I learned here. So definitely it's helped me a lot, and I'm also really excited by the rigs that they have to work with right now. I mean, the rigs, the ones I had were cool, but these are far beyond that, I think. So quite a few of them I've actually, just by looking at them, you can't wait to see them come to life, which is really speeds up the process, makes it a lot more fun. So here is the Maya that I have open, and here's the character that I selected. And funny thing is, I think his name is Shaman, but there's something else, either a first name or a last name. So that's just what I'm going by right now because that's what it says in the outliner. So what we're going to do is have him sneeze. And the first thing that I did was film myself doing that. Here I am. And made sure to make it nice and dramatic. And that's one thing I like about the QuickTime format, because it's really easy to scroll through everything frame by frame. So you can focus on everything else. It's like what my eyes are doing, what my eyebrows are doing, and then as far as secondary motion, most of all, what my lips are doing right here. So this was really a huge help. So we have Shaman right here. And so far I've animated just basically him sneezing, basically doing what I'm doing. And of course what's missing is all the secondary motion, which we're going to be tackling right now. So first thing we're going to do is start out with his hairs right here. And they have this, this controller right here, which is good for sort of getting everything started. And of course you can see the hairs all have individual controls, but if you wanted to sort of get an idea what they're all doing, I think this is a good way to start with these ones right here. So go over to rotate. And even though you're probably not going to notice a whole lot, you might as well have them doing something just to keep the frames going. It makes the animation process a lot easier. Make sure, there we go. I want to say just enough to record it. So right up until frame 34, that's when he starts really moving forward. So I think we'll have one more thing. And since it's going to be moving this way, I think I'll just have him move the opposite way. Then, once he starts going, so do they. Here we go. And one thing about how they rotate sometimes, since these guys are going all the way forward, I'll just show you. By the time they get all the way forward, it's going to be kind of like overly dramatic, sort of. They're going to look like almost like claws instead of hairs, I think. So because of that, what I'm going to do is maybe deselect all of them and then reselect this one right here and definitely this one back here, so they can have a little bit more of an arc to them, so they can move forward a bit more. So just they can bend forward without breaking. So I think that helps a lot. So they go back like this, and then by the time he hits maybe this point, he should probably be all the way forward, maybe right around here. And once again, this is all the way forward. So I think what I'll actually do with this base control here, the one on the front, is just to add a key to cover every frame, because with this one at least, that we might even have to do some translating as well as rotating. And shoot, as long as I do with this one, might as well do it with all, because this kind of wide range of action, you just never know. And I don't know what happened with this. Well, this could use a frame 2, and it's going to use a 0 right here. Bring it back where it should be. We'll be tackling that later, of course. So by the time we get to 42, all the way forward. And just make sure this one is just selected. So yeah, there we go. All the way. And also move it up just a little bit. Just a little bit, because obviously if you move it up too much, he's going to go completely bald. We don't want that. Then, just to keep the transition keys going, move these a little bit, even if they really don't need it. It's good to just have something. All right. And also, root out the ones that have gone through his forehead. As many as we can see, at least. If we don't see him right now, we'll see him later on, so it's nothing really that urgent, I don't think. Alright, here we go. So we're moving this one, as well as this one. So, of course, because of that, they're probably going to also need to be zeroed out back in frame 34, just like the other one was. So I'll just select these two. Back to 34, and... well, who knows? Actually, you might be able to get away with them because they're so non-visible, but just for the heck of it, why not? You know? Just keep a moral conscience, why not? You know? So we go forward, and right now the hairs, once again, they're sticking out a little bit too much. Not quite as... they don't look like claws, but still, you want to keep them consistently sort of curved on the way over. But then, of course, once they hit maybe this point, that's when they really spring forward. And I think also what I'll do is actually have this frame be the one for these two. I'll have it be 3 frames forward. So then once we get 42, they'll be a bit more angled, so we can keep that whole momentum going. So they are forward. And what we're going to do now is select all these, well actually just 3 of them, and go to the graph editor, which I have right here, and do what I've been calling frame shifting. And probably a lot of you know what this is, and I actually did refer to that on another one of my tutorials, but FYI, what we're doing is selecting these 3 ones and then moving them 1 frame over, and then deselecting, oh, not that, we're deselecting. This one right here, doing the same thing. 1 more over, and then naturally doing it again with the last remaining control right here. And we can even look at that previewed real quickly. And as you'll see, I can't preview the whole shot right now, but I think what I'll do is just go from maybe 28 to 50 and just see how that looks. All right. Yep. Here's fling forward. So that's action number 1. Now action number 2 is going to be what they do afterwards, as well as what some of the individual ones are going to be doing also. And what I think I'll do is, as he shakes his head on the way back, I'll have them sort of spreading out over his forehead. So I'm really giving this guy a bad hair day, I'll admit that right now. I'm guilty as charged. Sorry, but you know, it's all for the purpose of learning. Makes it okay. Starting with the blue one, this one is very obvious. So this one flings forward, and then between now and him shaking his head, you still want to have it doing something. Maybe from here until 54. Make sure all of these are selected. So it goes like that. And also make sure all these are zeroed out once again at 34. Right when they start. So I'll have just one example. I'm not going to do every single one of them because I don't think I have time to show every single thing, but I do have a final shot so we can see how the final thing actually turns out. To use this as an example, he shakes his head right about here. So until then, I think I'll actually have these bounce up a little bit more, like that. And then move over this way. Nope. That can sneak up on you sometimes. Sometimes you rotate it only one way out of 3 ways. But then over this way. And then maybe back over here. And we'll do the same thing as we did before with the whole frame shifting. I'm just going to give it one more frame to sort of ease into its new location right here. There we go. So now deselect this one. Then this one. And that would be it. Let's see how it looks right now. I'm sure it's going to preview this whole range, most of it. Good. So the hair sort of goes its own way, roughly. So then one thing we're going to focus on is the mouth. That's probably going to be the most noticeable part of this whole shot, I think. So I'm definitely going to get on that. I think I'm going to start out by using this control right here, which controls the main part of the lips right here. I think I'll also have him close his lips a little bit, because I don't think I want his mouth hanging open too much. And of course, also it's good to have frames right here before the animation frames. So that'll go for this, as well as this, as well as this right here also. So, starts swinging his mouth, so we start swinging this. And something else that happens is the lips actually go out, as opposed to, excuse me, well, not just right and left, but also out. So you notice that happens right here with mine. As I go forward, and then I go back, then yeah, my lips and my cheeks are doing the most moving around right now. Alright, so refresh my memory, it's going this way, so the lips are going this way. And so are these. And so is this. With this on the other hand, this is getting a bit tight, so we can actually see the lips moving a lot more clearly. And something else I'm going to do thought I said keys on these. Oh well, maybe I forgot. Something else. I'm going to select keys on this as well as this and this right here, because aside from his lips moving, his cheeks and basically his whole face is going to be moving quite a bit too. All right. Okay. Now over this way. And when doing this kind of thing, it's been my experience that, don't be afraid to exaggerate, because I was actually watching another tutorial on this channel, and the mentor said it's a lot easier to pull a student back than push them forward if they're not going forward enough. And I have to say I agree, because it's definitely been my experience. It's also been how it goes with practical effects, because a little story here. When they were making Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the guy who was playing Gothmog, that elephant-looking man, orc-looking thing, is one of the head honchos, one of the main baddies, so to speak. They were trying to perfect the design for how he was going to look. He was going to look, like I said, a lot like the Elephant Man. And Peter Jackson, the director, was just not really getting what he wanted because it wasn't exaggerated enough. So they kept adding more and more clay and making him look more and more disfigured. But he kept saying, no, I need more. So finally, the artist sculpting him just took a whole brick of clay and, just stuffed the whole thing at once, on there, just made it so ridiculously grotesque that he was expecting Peter to look at it and say, like, okay, that's a little bit too much. You might want to tone it down a bit. But instead, nope. Peter looked at it, he said, that's it, that's what I want. So, same thing happens with animation. It has happened with me too, definitely. And sometimes, this does happen sometimes, by the way, the controls might get lost inside of the mesh. So what I do to help that is switch over to X-ray, so I can select it like that. Alright, so this is where he stops, and what we're going to do is basically have the whole thing be back to normal by, I think, by the end frame, because I think there's a lot of so much to work with here, and so much of the extra facial mass, so to speak, that I think we have enough sort of leeway in terms of keeping this going, because I think having it stop any frame before the last one would just have it jerk to a halt, which would not look good. So what I'm doing here is basically zeroing everything. Alright, let's see how much this will preview. See how... Once again, this is a very, very rough demonstration because I have a limited amount of time, but let's just see how it looks right now. Alright. So... There you go, it's pretty basically. And one thing I also want to tackle are his ears, or actually, since only one of them is in frame, his ear. So we can be a little bit sneaky with that. So that goes throughout. It goes with the sneeze as well as the shake at the end. So right when he goes forward, yep, frame 34. Just make sure there's a key right before on that. And then when he goes forward, the ear can go back like that. I think you go forward right about here, I think. And you can zero back out. Nope. I hate when that happens. You try to hit a hotkey, but you hit it into the value section instead. Oh, there you go. So let's see how that looks. Waves back a little bit too quickly. I think I'll move these forward a little bit more. And then after it's sprung forward, maybe give it a little bit recovery time, I think, so to speak. So maybe like that. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Looks better. Okay. And once again, frame, yep, 60. Let's have a key right here, and then the next frame will be zeroed out. So first of all, let's see if this whole thing will preview, and good. Yes, it will. Cool. I think I can swing out a little bit further. So we can fix that right here. Let's see how that looks. It looks all right. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the basic idea. You know, obviously we didn't have time to go into fine-tuning and anything. But now, here's the final shot right here. You'll notice I spent a little bit more time, you know, on the hairs on the head and everything, and on the mouth, on the ear, and basically, you know, the whole thing, especially with the hairs going their separate ways, so to speak. And that is it for this tutorial. And I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope you learned a few things, as always. And also, as always, thank you for watching. And you know, I'll just figure I'll close out every tutorial by saying my little catchphrase, which is happy animating. And in this case, happy animating. And I cannot believe how weird I look right now because of my desk lamp. The sun is setting outside, and I've been looking at this the whole time, so I've not noticed how unevenly lit up I am, but who cares? You're not here to look at me, you're here to look at this. So anyways, thanks once again, and I will see you next time, okay? Bye.